And welcome to another edition of the Dollar Store Boys podcast. I'm your host, Justin Adams, along with my brother, Dion Rabouin, a longtime financial markets reporter, and he's also worked for places like Wall Street Journal, Yahoo Finance, Reuters. What else have you worked for, man? I mean, you just go, throw all those different credentials out there, bro. Yeah. What's going on?
Yahoo Finance, you mentioned the Wall Street Journal, you mentioned Reuters. We don't really talk about Axios too much, but I was also there. I started the Axios Markets newsletter. But you know what? Now I'm retired. I officially have decided that I am retired from the journalism game. So now we just do this. Now we just make the Dollar Store Boys podcast.
I love it, man, being able to retire from the journalism game. I haven't graduated to that point yet. I still work in the journalism game. I'm a reporter for CBS Colorado, also do some anchoring, news and sports, do play-by-play broadcasting as well. Look, all credentials we put down here, man, but having a blast to be able to be here. But you know what? This is episode number 2 of the Dollar Store Boys podcast, and it's all about helping you with your finances.
Yes, listen, and a lot of podcasts out there, they'll tell you, oh, hey, make sure you invest, make sure you save. We want to talk holistically about money, right? How to spend it, how to save it, how to invest it, how to grow it. And a lot of those podcasts, the other ones I see social media, everyone say, oh, yeah, just invest. But I never see them say invest in what? Invest how? How do I get started? And I know a lot of folks I talk to because they say, oh, Dion, you're a financial journalist. How do I start investing? And so I wanted us to get into that today.
Yeah, and also make sure you know what you're investing. Unlike yours truly, that will be an episode for another day. Trust me. Might be the next episode.
We're going to talk about that.
We also want to talk about one of the other things that's very important too, because it's not just investments, but also we're talking about, is now the time to buy a house? You may be surprised by that answer. If you're my friend Dion, you're not surprised by it at all. But all right, man, what we're going to talk about obviously is investing, talking about housing as well. So Dion, man, let's talk about just how the Dollar Store Boys started investing. And you got a great story, man, about how you started investing, and it goes all the way back to 2008.
Yeah, 2008, man. So, we getting kind of up there now. And this is like one of the few stories that when I tell it, I feel really old because the way that folks invest now is so different from the way that I got started investing. Like, I really, when I tell the story, I feel old. Because I was at this party. I was out in Santa Monica. I was living in LA, had just finished college, and I met a stockbroker. And I was like, oh, man, I've never actually met a stockbroker. Like, I'm thinking about investing.
Wait, but before we get you to stockbroker and investing, you got to tell us the year though. You say going back to Santa Monica. We didn't get the year, okay?
Yeah, I did that intentionally. Thank you for calling me out, Justin. We're talking about the year. Yeah, we're talking about the year 2008. So in the year 2008, right in kind of the throes of the financial crisis, it was a great time to graduate with a journalism degree. By the way, a fantastic time to have a journalism degree. But yeah, moved out to LA, and in 2008, as a lot of y'all remember, if you were there, it was a hard time. We were in the Great Recession, the global financial crisis, the market meltdown, all of that had happened. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, I've heard the stock market usually bounces back. And again, this is a lot of people assume because I'm a financial journalist that I majored in economics, that I grew up investing stocks. None of that. No, I was a high school football reporter covering high school football teams out in the greater Los Angeles area, working at different websites like DocStock, like hollyscoop.com. Like, that's what I was doing. I had no knowledge of any of this investing stuff at that point. And I go to this little party and I meet a stockbroker. And I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about investing, actually. I feel like I should put some money in the stock market. How do I do that? And he's like, oh, well, you give your money to me. And I put it in. I was like, great. That sounds like here's the thing.
Stop it.
No, wait, let me, because this is one of those moments where I'm like, you kids, you don't know how good you have it. Back in my day, but legit, back in my day, you had to have a stockbroker, right? You couldn't just open up an account. I mean, maybe you could, but the internet, what? But you had to have an actual stockbroker. And then literally, I would write him checks for how much money, or I would have to transfer the money from a bank account to this investment account at Wedbush Securities is what I started with. And then I would have to pay this man $45 every time I wanted to buy or sell a stock. Any kind of asset I wanted to buy or sell, it was $45 each time. So even if I wanted to buy a stock that was like $10, it was $10 plus the fee plus $45. So I would pay $55 for a $10 stock. And then if I wanted to sell that stock because it went up to like $15, I would then pay another $45 on top of that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know we're so far from that now, but
Thank
that
God.
was literally thank God. So all of y'all out there that haven't started investing, know that you don't have to feel my pain when I would, and so I would be saving up. I'd be making sure I had like $500 before I bought any stock. Like, no, hold on, I got to make sure this is worth it, right? Because $500 was a lot of money for me back then. Like that was like half a check. You know what I'm saying? Like that was some real money. So when I got started investing, it was literally like I met this guy. I made sure and checked his credentials, right? Like I looked up on the Wedbush website, made some calls, made sure he was legit. And then I went through this long process of opening up an account, starting the account, funding the account, paying for each trade. And that was how I first started growing my wealth. And again, let me be very clear that there was very little wealth at the beginning. And this time I think I made my first stock purchase with like $500. I had been saving that $500 too. And it was like, oh man, all right, we're ready. We're finally going to get invested in the market. Here we go. I think I bought like some Bank of America stock because, you know, the banks had gotten killed and I was like, I should probably invest in the banks, right? And so that was literally how I got started. And I'm so glad that I did that. I didn't have any I thought this guy was going to be my advisor. He was like, no, I'm not an advisor. I'm a broker. I just buy the stocks. Like,
Right.
He would tell me, what phone company do you have? And I think at that time I was with Verizon. He was like, well, you should buy some Verizon stock. And I was like, is Verizon a good stock? He's like, I mean, maybe. You should buy some. I was like, okay. All right. Cool. So I ended up doing research myself, right? So I started researching, okay, what company should I buy? What's the background on this company? And I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at all these terms, looking at PE ratios. I'm looking at Sharpe ratios. I'm looking at 50-day moving. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means, but I feel like this banks thing is going to take off. And so
Right.
little by little, I start learning more. I start reading books. I start doing my research. I start talking to people, and I start growing my portfolio. And then I hit my man Justin Adams up.
Yes,
Justin
you did.
A. Adams. Yeah,
Yes,
Justin
sir.
A. Adams.
That's right.
And I said, Justin, this investing thing is changing my life. I've been putting in a couple $100s every month. I started with like $500. I've got like a few $1,000s here now, and this is growing way more than what I put into it, man. You should do this. And Justin, what did you tell me?
I didn't listen to you. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
No, it was it's on one side where you've done the research, right? And look, we all trust our friends to a certain extent.
Do we?
But
do we trust our friends?
Just a little bit here. But no, but I was afraid. And it was afraid because I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't know, but I could trust a friend who had it, and it took me about a year in order to go
was it just 1 year, Justin? I feel like it was maybe more than 1 year because I feel like I was telling you and telling you and telling you.
You were telling me.
And
You were telling
you.
me. All right, conservatively, it was 18 months, so a year and a half, right?
It was more like 2-3 years, but okay.
We'll go from there, okay? We gotta look good on the pod, man. But
Yeah. We can't lie to the people, man. This is the Dollar Store Boys podcast. We got to keep it 100.
That is very true. And you know what's interesting is that when you told me about it initially, and again, I just didn't know anything about it, and so. What I didn't know was consuming. I didn't know about buying clothes and buying things and, going to eventually get a house. And, my mindset was I didn't have enough money to be able to invest. I remember actually at my first job at Denver 7, I was making like $42,000 at the year. This is back in 2010, folks. I just got to college, so, But
hey, listen, I wasn't even making. I think I was making like $14,000 in 2000.
In Cali?
So yeah,
and living in Cali?
Yeah.
God
I was
bless you,
living broke. I was eating ramen noodles.
Man, those ramen noodles were the best thing you
Ramen
had in your
noodles
life at the
came
time.
through. Hey, ramen noodles and bread, baby. That's how we was living.
Invest. But here's one of the biggest things that we do talk about is that I didn't think that I had enough. So because I didn't think I had enough, I was like, I just kept pushing off. Okay, let me go and invest this money. But I didn't push off having cable. I didn't push off having all these other different things that started to add up. And I think back that if I would have just said no cable, that's an extra $100, extra $150 at the time that I could have put into investments, right? So I finally did go, after listening to Dion, becoming that headache for me, I finally said I'm going to invest, started a TD Ameritrade account, and I bought a stock by the name of ITOT. Now, by the way, we're just going to tell you now, we are not stockbrokers. We're just telling you about what we did that has helped us out. But I started buying a stock at ITOT, and I remember after about 3 to 4 months going back to Dion, and I was like, bro, what does this plus signal mean? Like, I have no idea what this means. Like, what does this mean? And it's like, you just made some money. And
that's a bunch of free money in your account that you didn't have before.
And that's the thing that people need to realize is that investing is free money. Now, we know the drawbacks, right? We know the negatives. We know that, hey, the market dips from time to time. But as you know, Dion, when you started, the market was at a very low point, but then it came right back as well. And we're starting to see the fruits of it as well. Dion, quickly, how many, on average, if you invested to the S&P 500, how much percentage are you could make back on average per year?
So the S&P 500, that's the U.S. major stock market index, right? And if you follow that, we have data going back all the way to the 1920s. So almost 100 years of data. And over 100 years, the S&P average return is 10%. So you're averaging 10% return each and every year. And again, that's not, it's going to go up 10%, then it's going to go up 10%. That means it's going to go up 5%, go down 15%, go up 20%. And over the course of time, when you stay the course, you get that average of 10%. And actually, if you look back towards since 2000, even including the terrible year that was 2001, even including the terrible year that was 2007, 2008, the S&P 500 has averaged closer to 20% over the last 25 years than it has to 10%. So again, when you're talking about growing your wealth, and here's the other part that I always try to tell people is the magic of compounding, right? So let's say the stock market averages 10% return each year, and over 2 years, right? If the stock market goes up 10% and 10%, what's your return? Your return is 21%. And you might think, oh, wait a second. I know 10 plus 10 is 20. 10 plus 10 is 20. But when you compound the gains, right? And so over 3 years, if you get 10%, 10%, 10%, that's not 30, that's 33%. So let's understand the way compounding interest, not only do you get that 10% return, but now your made money is making money when you stay invested. And that really is one of the biggest things is just folks all talk about the magic of compounding interest. And that's what it is.
Yeah, but not everybody participates in this magic of compound interest. And it goes back to an article that you and I looked at. And it talked about the percentage of Americans that are actually invested into the stock market. Only 62%, 2 of 3 Americans are invested into the stock market. And that's according to the latest Gallup poll. And also, take a look at this. Most of those people who own stock through retirement accounts and, the numbers are a little skewed, but they favor the wealthy, right? And so you think of people who are earning more than $100,000, they're going to have those stocks, right? They have that extra discretionary income. So it's really what's interesting for me to be able to look at this article and see how many people are actually participating in the stock market in this magic of compound interest that you were just talking about.
And here's the other thing, though, right? When we talk about 62%, people say, oh, okay, that's 2 out of 3, like you said. But most of those people are invested through things like their 401k, right? Or their retirement accounts. And really, when you look at how many people actively choose, they say, okay, I'm going to open up my own brokerage account. I'm going to invest for myself. It drops to 21% of people. Wow. That's incredibly low. And here's what we know about who invests in the stock market. 87%, you talked about the difference between folks with wealth and folks without wealth. 87% of households earning over $100,000 own stocks, but just 28% of households making less than $50,000 a year own stocks. And I understand that makes sense because if you've got $100,000, if you're making $100,000 a year, like you said, you've got that discretionary income, you have more. But for folks who are making less than $50,000, understand that what you should be doing with your money is what rich people are doing with their money, right?
Bingo.
The way to get rich is to think rich. What do rich people do? They understand that their money needs to be making money. And so that's why almost 9 in 10 people making over $100,000 a year are investing in the stock market. While just, again, the Federal Reserve found, and this is a 2022 study from the Federal Reserve, just 21% of Americans own stock directly outside of their retirement accounts and those types of things. So one of the great free gifts that you can give yourself is the gift of compound interest and the gift of free money. And that's why I always tell people, like, they're like, oh, Dion, what do I start today? Doesn't matter if you have $5, you have $10. You don't have to find a broker like I did and pay $45 a trade. Them trades is free. It's $0. I actually just moved some money over to an account with JP Morgan Chase, and they gave me $1,000 because I moved some money over there, right? So not only do you not have to pay any money, but they'll give you money to put your money with them. It's free money. It's free money everywhere you look. Why, as the late, great Russell Jones, a.k.a. ODB, used to say, why wouldn't you want to get free money?
That's a great question. By the way, you said, where at again? Is this free money at that you just moved to?
JP Morgan Chase. I just moved it. They're not a sponsor or anything, but they did just give me $1,000. Well, I'm going to get $1,000 in 90 days is what they say. But I just moved some money. And again, that's because I have a large investment portfolio now. So I just moved $250,000 over to JP Morgan Chase. And so they're going to give me $1,000 free, no strings attached. Oh, hey, you want to bring your money from over there to over here? Yeah, here you go. Here's $1,000.
I think one thing that's really interesting too is that somebody could listen to this and say, why would you move that amount of money over for just $1,000 if you have $250,000? And it goes back to one thing, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I have a feeling you would say that. Do you not want free money?
Why wouldn't you want $1,000? All I got to do is hit some buttons on the computer and move my money from over here to over there, and I get $1,000.
Wait, hold on. Say from over here,
from over to over there.
Here,
I hit click. I go click. I put in my password, and I move the money, and I hit send, and I get $1,000. I don't know, like, is you too good for $1,000? Is $1,000 not good enough for you? And the other thing with these banks, for folks that maybe don't have $250,000 yet, if you open up a new checking account, banks are so desperate because they know that once customers open up a new checking account and they get direct deposit, they'll stay with that account for life. The average customer has one bank account for life. And so they'll pay you. I just signed up for a new bank account with Huntington Bank, got $600. I signed up for a new business checking account with Huntington Bank, got another $1,000. So it's free money. All you got to have is direct deposit or a fat stack of cash, and you can get that free money. Like, I think the minimum is $500 per check per direct deposit. So there's free money out here to get. And again, when I did that, I also opened up a money market fund with Huntington Bank because I know my money's not just going to be sitting there. So I made sure that this was an account I could put the money in the money market account. Now I'm getting double. So I'm getting the interest in the money market account, and I get that free $600 and $1,000 that I got for moving my money over. So this is, not only can you invest and grow your money through the market, but you can get free money for opening up an account. I know Schwab has an intro account. Vanguard has an intro. When I opened up my Vanguard account, I got some free money from them too. It's free money out here.
I think that's the main thing that you talk about here, Dion, is that you highlight the importance of, yes, there's free money out here, but when you have money, you're able to not only grow it through compound interest, but you're able to grow it through looking for more opportunities to find more money to be able to go and invest. And all that adds up in the end. And what this hits me too is, this is something you should be always doing. You should always be looking for different ways to be able to make money. I think one thing you could be programmed-wise is you have to have your hands out there. You have to go and work hard and take out your time and put in 8 hours or 9 hours in your day in order to get a check, and then you take it home and taxes eat all of that, right? And then you finally get to take this money home, and then you can invest it when, wait a minute, there are opportunities daily to be able to go and make money. You just have to go and find those different avenues, the legal avenues, obviously, to be able to find those. That's very important.
we ain't telling you to get it out the block, man. We ain't telling nobody to get the block hot.
Dion, I did want to highlight one thing that I found was very interesting. When I looked at the ages of Americans who own a stock, and again, a Gallup poll that said 2 out of 3 Americans, 62%, own a stock, and obviously those of the higher income earners, they are the most invested in the stock market. But I see the age range. Obviously, we know 65 and older, 61%, 50 to 64, 72, 30 to 49, where we are, that's 65%. But it really surprises me when I look at 18 to 29, that's only at 44%. And the reason why it surprises me is because I know that if I would have just invested earlier, if I would have listened to my man Dion, if I would have just went out and said, let me go and invest any type of funds earlier during that age range, then that money is going to compound. And now that I'm 40, I can look up and be like, wait a minute, that's 20 years of letting that money just grow. And it's so easy when you're at that age to just let the money just go away.
Right. And I want to highlight two things that you talked about right there. First of all, you said make money, right? You don't have to make money. Your money can make money.
Hello.
Again, we talked about when I came on, I said I'm retired. I'm retired, but my money is still working.
Hello.
Right? I'm not out here working a 9 to 5, but my money is working 24/7. It's getting more money for me. So again, understanding and having that ability to change your mindset of like, the only way to get money is to go out and work a job. The only way to get money is to go out here and do hard labor or, work for somebody else. No. Get some money and then let your money work for you. The second thing that you talked about that I really wanted to highlight is just that ability for the young people to get started. Your biggest asset in your investing journey is time. The biggest asset you have is time. And I got a bunch of little cousins. They range in age from like 15 to 26. And every time I tell them, I'm like, every day that passes is a day that you're giving up money. Every day you're not invested in the market is a day you're losing money, because we all see prices going up, right? Every year prices are going up. Things are getting more expensive. So if your money's not growing, you're literally losing money. And that's one thing that I always try to tell my little cousins and really, any young people that I talk to. I'm like, listen, get invested, get some stocks, get some bonds, put your money in a CD, just make your money go to work for you.
Start now. Whatever you have, if you have $100, $10, $500, whatever it could be, just start now. Start going and investing your money into the S&P 500. I mean, that has helped us out to be able to go and build wealth. And maybe it could be one day you can move your money over and get $600 from Huntington Bank as well. That'd be pretty cool. But quickly, Dion, before we go on and we talk about housing, I want you to quickly talk about what's going on with the United States economy, how it's shifting from consumer-led to investment-led. What does that mean?
Yeah, so just like I talked about, right, we see prices going up on everything. What we're really seeing right now is where most big companies, most large companies, the only thing that matters to them is the stock price. So how much revenue or how much profit they make, things like that, they really aren't important. So the U.S. economy used to really be led by how much stuff can you sell? How much can you get people to buy, right? Well, now there's a new game in town. That's just how can we get the stock price to rise? And sometimes it's not really about, okay, well, we sold a bunch or we moved a bunch of product this quarter and that makes the stock price go up. Sometimes it's we laid a bunch of people off and that makes the stock price go up. Sometimes it's we created this new thing where a bunch of people are interested. They might not be spending any money, but people are interested in what we're doing. And so that's going to make the stock price go up. I'll give an example. I use the service Duolingo, right? And I've used Duolingo as a free user for over 12 years now. I started in 2013, right around the time the company came out, and I've been using it for a long time. And just now I've noticed, oh, wow, they're making the free experience really bad. It's really difficult to get on Duolingo because now I'm basically getting kicked off after 2 lessons. My time expires, and instead of having hearts, they got energy, and your energy expires, and then you can't use the app anymore. Well, I look at the stock price and I see, the stock price is down 50% over the past year. Why is that? Well, it's because Duolingo's, It's annual recurring revenue. Automated recurring revenue is down, right? Because they were signing a bunch of people up for their paid tier and now they're not. Well, they need people on the paid tier because that's what makes the stock price go up. And in an investment-led economy, when companies only care about the price of their stock, they're going to do things that are going to influence the price of stock. And that's all that's all that matters. So even though Duolingo is a company where their mission, as they say, is that education on Duolingo is free and always will be, well, now they're kicking you off after 2 lessons because they want you to upgrade to that paid tier so you can pay some money. Those are the kind of things that happen in an investment-led economy. It's all about the stock price. Back when all that mattered was how many members they got, well, they wanted as many free members as they could possibly get, so they made the free tier really great. It was high quality. But now the market is saying you need to be making that automated recurring revenue, ARR. And so if you're not getting that, we're going to punish your stock price. And now they're trying to push everybody to buy the paid tier. So again, it's little things like that each and every different company. Again, why is Chase giving me $1,000? Because Chase needs to show that they have more customers in their investment, their self-directed accounts, and that's going to push the stock price higher.
And that's what you need to matters. Yeah, and that's what you need to understand to take advantage of it. It's so great point there, Dion, and that's really interesting to see how things are changing and something that we definitely will have to keep an eye on throughout the years. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of today.
Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes. This is what I like to hear. The house. Luther Vandross once said a house is not a home. But I know Dion Rabouin says, why are you buying a house in the first place? So let's go to buying a home. What do you think about that, brother?
So listen, man, I've been telling people for years and years and years that buying a house is not a good investment. It just isn't, right? In terms of like, is it a good investment compared to the stock market? Now, is buying a house a good investment compared to buying some Jordans or buying a new car? Yes, it's a better investment. Is it a better investment than buying some stock, than investing in the S&P 500? No, it's not. So what I tell people all the time, because one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they say, "Oh, I'm saving up for a down payment. I'm saving up so I can buy a house." I'm like, cool, how are you saving? "Oh, I'm just putting my money in my Chase savings account or my Wells Fargo savings account." That's paying 0% interest.
Right.
And they earn 0%, or they're keeping the match. Invest. So a house is a nice diversification element. And when I say diversification, you want to diversify, have all different types of things that are making you money. You should have stocks, you should have bonds, you should have savings accounts, you should have money market accounts. You can invest in commodities. You can have real estate investment trust, REITs, REITs. Mm-hmm. All of those different things that you can invest in. You shouldn't just put your money in a 0% interest savings account and then put it and just keep putting it there, because you're missing out on, if you're saving up, let's say $20,000 for a house over the course of 5 years, that's 5 years you could have been making 10% a year on that money investing in the S&P 500. Now, again, if you're putting money away for something that's going to be a long-term goal, you want to make sure that it's going to be there when you need it. So you want something low risk like bonds, CDs, something like that. But I see so many people, they just think, okay, well, I'm going to put money away to buy a house, and then they buy a house and that's their only asset. And now they're done investing. I said, well, I got the house now. Yeah, you got the house, but that's all you got.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times the mistake people make is they think buying a house versus getting some pizza, going out every night, buying some fly gear, buying a fly whip, whatever it is. And it's like, no. There's lots of things you could be invested in, starting with the stock market. And that's where you should start. Because a house, you can't get into a house for less than some thousands of dollars. Even a cheap house is going to cost you some thousands of dollars for that down payment.
What cheap house? What cheap house you talking about? Bro, we are in Colorado, Dion.
Yeah, that's true.
Houses are expensive.
Houses are expensive. Maybe if you live down in Arkansas or something like that, you get in a cheap house. But I'm saying even something like that, right? You're talking thousands of dollars for the down payment versus a stock. You could start investing in stock with $5, $10. Right. And so start there. Start small. Start with getting into an investment account, opening a brokerage account. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But we also got to talk about, Justin, the returns for a home versus the returns for the S&P 500, the U.S. stock market. So the annual home price appreciation last year in 2025 was 0.7%. I want to read that. It's less than 1% return on your home nationwide. That's the average. I know here in Colorado, the value of my house went down, actually, right? That's the smallest increase in 14 years since 2011, when prices dropped 2.9%, according to ICE, which is the owner of the New York Stock Exchange. So with inflation rising at 2.7%, according to the latest Consumer Price Index, homeowners lost 2% on the value of their homes in 2025. And that's inflation adjusted, And that's the average person. Like I said, here in Colorado, especially here in Denver where we live, Justin, home prices actually went down on a real, not even on an inflation adjusted level, just on an overall level. Home prices went down last year. So if you bought a house in 2025, or even if you bought it in 2024, 2023, you lost money last year. And on an inflation adjusted basis, you lost even more because inflation went up almost 3% and your home lost money. So compare that now to the S&P 500, to the U.S. stock market. The U.S. stock market rose by 18% last year. So what do you want to invest in? Something that went up 18% or something that went up 0.7%? Again, and we're just talking about average, right? On top of that, Let's talk about mortgage rates. At the average mortgage rate of 6.2%, well, you're not just losing that 2% on inflation. You are also paying 6% for your mortgage. So you're losing even more. So again, a house can be a good asset to hold. You and I were both homeowners because we started investing first, right? We started putting that money in the stock market. We did bonds, we did savings accounts, all these other things, and then went out and got a house, right? As when it made sense to, when interest rates were low, by the way. Right now, with interest rates high, I really want to encourage people to think twice about whether now is the right time to buy a house.
And also, you're going to be paying a whole lot more for a house. Let's just call it what it is, okay? Yeah. Understand this. When you take out a mortgage, let's just say around 7%, okay? Which is where we are currently, okay? Now, over the course of 3 years, okay, let's go back, okay? You take out on a mortgage at 7% interest. Over the course of 30 years, you effectively are paying for the house. Not once, not twice. Can I get 3 times? Yes. Times. So for a $500,000 home, you're paying $1.5 million when you look at the interest rates, okay? That is ridiculous. That's another reason why you need to make sure that you have some investments first. And I get it. You may say, hey, I want to buy a home. I want to get the American dream, right? The car, right? The 2 cars, the wife or the spouse, and the 2 kids and the white picket fence.
White picket fence. Don't forget about the white picket fence.
Can't forget about that. But you do need to make sure you have this. Have your investments first. And the main reason why is because you want to make sure that you have that wealth building tool already working for you, and then are in a position where you can be able to go and pay for a mortgage if that's the direction you want to go into. There is nothing wrong with renting. I know I have friends who will say that's not what you should be doing at all. There is nothing wrong with renting first, making sure that your money is put together, your wealth is already built up, whether in the stock market, having a nice savings account. We talked about that in the first episode. And then going and buying a crib. Dion, I'll be very honest with you, man. And this is what helped my wife and I. We actually, when we first got married, and we actually did it in a different way. When we first were married, we were renting. And so we were renting, saying, okay, we need to go get a house. We need to go get a house. And then I made a joke by saying, hey, why don't we just get out of this apartment and just live with your parents for 8 months while it's to save some money and go from there. And we both were laughing for a couple of seconds. And then the light bulb hit and it was like, that's exactly what we need to do. They're empty nesters, and if they allow us to go and live in a home, let's do that. And look, the main thing is this, is that for myself and my wife, those are the drastic moves that we had to make in order to be able to be in the house that we're in today. You may have to do the same thing, and that's okay. That's what helped us out. But you know what? Nobody's laughing at the end of the day when you finally have that money in the bank and you finally have some wealth that you are building up. Dion, I remember you telling me a story of a relative of yours that was talking about how he was doing some sports betting. And he was like, man, look at this money I made on this parlay over here. And you had a pretty good retort for him, to say the least.
So he sent me a screenshot, right? This is my little cousin. He's about 24 years old. He sent me a screenshot. He was like, look at this parlay, baby. Just got paid $250. What's up? So I sent him back a screenshot of my investment account and my dividends and interest. I said, brother, I make $1,000 every month. I ain't even got to do nothing for it. As every month, it just comes in. They just say, hey, thank you, Mr. Rabouin. We appreciate you you putting your money here. There you go.
I love it.
And listen, and one thing I want to make sure we don't gloss over is, how do you get started, right? How do you get started investing? Because we've talked about it. Well, listen, Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity, Interactive Brokers. If you absolutely have to, Robinhood. I don't like the gamification. I don't think it's good for investors. I don't think it teaches good lessons. But if that's the only way you can get on your investing, then go ahead, get you a Robinhood account. But just open up an account. It'll take you need a couple forms of identification. It'll take you maybe 10, 20 minutes, but open up that account and just make a deposit. Connect your bank account. It's really that simple. Connect your bank account, fund it, get some and start investing. Do it right now. Hit pause on our podcast right now. We want you to hit pause. Schwab.com, Fidelity.com, Vanguard.com. Just go there, open up an account. It doesn't take long. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was starting with index funds, right? Index funds are a mix of all types of index. So you've got VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, right? That is a mix of basically every available publicly traded company in the U.S. Justin talked a little bit earlier about ITOT. That's similar. That's a huge mix of stocks. It's already diversified. It's already, so you're not just buying one stock and then maybe that stock goes to zero and you lose all your money. No, you are investing across the US stock market. There's VOO, there's VASGX, there's SPY. If you want to do a mix of stocks and bonds, you have AOR, AOA. AOR is 60% stocks, 40% bonds. AOA is 80% stocks, 20% bonds. Those are just some names that you can get started in right now. And if you only have $100, go ahead and throw it into one of those index funds right now today. Hit pause, go do that right now. So we told you what to get invested in, right? And to be clear, I'm not saying that you need to go, because I'm not allowed to give investment advice. This is not investment advice. What I'm saying is, if you're like, oh man, I don't know what to do, and my excuse is that I don't know what to buy, so I'm gonna just buy nothing. Let me tell you what you can buy, right? Start with index funds. Low cost, easy to invest in, diversified, very simple, and that's what all those are. VTI, ITOT, VOO, VASGX, SPY, AOR, AOA. And those can be your first fund. Go ahead and invest in a low cost, high quality, diversified stock index fund and get started investing.
Yeah, and make sure you also know, as Dion just so eloquently put together, what you are investing into. Don't just copy and paste and buy. Not going to say that might be something that I've done.
Yeah.
Might not say that might, but...
Read the descriptions. Hit Google. Just Google, put VTI in Google and read it. The AI will tell you. Say, right. What's in it? Ask ChatGPT, ask Perplexity, ask the AI agent. It'll tell you. You don't have to just blindly throw some money and do a little research.
First of all, that sounds like episode number 3. I'm just going to put it that way, okay? There's nothing wrong with randomly buying stocks. There
is something wrong. There's a lot wrong with randomly buying stocks. Do some research, but I gave you some names to start out investing in. So I'm saying, what I'm telling you is just get started. Don't just go out and buy Tesla. Don't just go out and buy, Nvidia, right?
Amazon.
Go get you a index fund so that when the stock, when Nvidia or Amazon or, Tesla goes down by 20, 30%, you're not down 20, 30%, right? You're not losing your mind. The U.S. stock market, if the U.S. stock market goes to zero, you're going to have way bigger problems than what's in your portfolio, right? And so that's highly, highly, highly unlikely to happen. So you'll have a safe place to start. You'll have a low cost fund where those fees and stuff aren't eaten into your gains. And you'll be able to say, okay, well, I'm diversified. I'm invested in all these different corners of the market. So usually when one part of the market goes down, another part goes up. And we'll talk about diversification on another episode, but low cost, high quality index fund is a great place to start. I just gave you some names. Do some research. Don't just buy. Do some research and get started.
I like the stars, okay? The star system on Schwab was awesome, okay?
Oh,
4-star, 5 stars. That's what I go to. You like them in hotels. I like them in my stocks, okay? That's what I do. Okay. But you know what? That is our time today for the Dollar Store Boys podcast. Obviously, always a pleasure to be able to have you here. Here's the main message overall, okay? Just get started. Please, please, please just get started today. We want you to be able to go and build some wealth, be able to have that, see that plus sign, see that while you were sleeping, you were able to make money and start to enjoy the magic of compound interest. So once again, that's our time. And as always, thank you for joining us on the Dollar Store Boys podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and let us know.
Smash that like button.
Smash that button, okay? Also, let us know what financial tips that you want us to talk about next. And you know what? We'll discuss them. We'll also give you a shout out on the show, too. So for my brother, Dion Rabouin, I'm Justin Adams saying so long, and we will see you on the next episode on the Dollar Store Boys podcast. Be blessed.